So, wir sitzen hier im Tourbus von Phil Campbell, langjähriger Gitarrist von Motörhead. Ich bin ein bisschen aufgeregt and we have to hurry a little bit. We only got 15 minutes, so I'm gonna make it quick. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Campbell from Motörhead. You played on 16 Motörhead albums. Am I right? I'm not good with numbers.
I believe 16 studio albums, and lots more stuff.
Lots more of live albums and compilation stuff. Yeah, how are you? Enjoying the grey, shitty, rainy winter in Germany?
Yeah, well, I stay on a bus, but the tour has been great. We've had more people this time than last time around, and fantastic response every night. So, yeah, it's really good.
It must be a really great feeling to be on tour with your sons, with 3 of them. I think that's all of them, right? They're all musicians.
Yeah, it's quite unique, actually. It's different. It's a good buzz. You know, they're 3 talented kids. We've got a great singer. At the end of the day, it's just a kick-ass rock band, you know. That's the way I think about it. Sometimes on stage, you forget in my kids, you know, if it's just, you hear the bass line going, yeah, it's a groovy bass line or whatever, you know.
Did you do that on purpose? I mean, did you every Christmas when they were young just give them a drum kit, give them a guitar? So you made your own band? No.
No, they were all born 4 years apart, so like, you know, we had little things lying around the house and they all kind of picked it up. They can all play bass, guitar and drums to varying degrees. So music, they just all enjoy music, so... You know, they don't want proper jobs. Like, no musician wants a proper job.
Yeah. You can be proud of them. Do you still hear your Motörhead nickname Wizzö these days? Or how do your sons call you? Only Dad?
Dad or Phil. No, that's from years and years ago. Let me call me that years and years ago, yeah.
Of course, we got to talk about your solo debut album, Old Lions Still Raw. In Germany, we got the saying, der Name ist Programm. It means as much as, the name says it all. I think that's pretty much the case when it comes to your solo debut. I mean, you rounded up a big pack of old lions like Alice Cooper, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, or Rob Halford from Judas Priest. I want to know, what was your approach? Did you just check your contacts in the smartphone and call every big rock star you had in there?
No, some of the guys I'd been touring with for years, and I've asked them years ago if ever I do a solo record, you know, people I admired, and I find something that you like, do you want to be on it? And they said yes, and this went on for a few years, and before I knew it, I'd promised lots of people, you know, they'd heard as well, I've heard you started a solo record, Phil, when are you going to send me something to listen to so I can check it? And other stuff I wrote kind of specifically for certain people, but it wasn't just done one way. It's really, really complicated to talk about it. Some came down the studio, some didn't. A lot of it was done with files, sending back and forth.
Thank God there's the internet,
It would have been still a work in progress otherwise. But the good thing was I didn't have any time limits. You know, from the record company just said when it's ready, you know, just give it to us when it's done. So there's nobody breathing down my neck.
Okay. But now you're on tour again with your bastard sons, and you can't play any songs of your solo debut, right? Because you can't just call Dee Snider and Alice Cooper to join you on stage.
Now we're playing a couple of songs, but we've got a cardboard Dee Snider. No, just joking. Yeah, we do a couple of songs, and Neil sings them really well anyway, so, you know.
Okay. I think it all went so fast. I mean, not so long ago, your first album with your Bastard Sons came out, and the critics were really awesome, also Grammy Award and everything. And now your solo debut, that was really, there was not much time in between, I think.
But I'd already started a solo record a little bit. I don't really remember when I started it, 2 or 3 years ago, from the first recording. I think the first one was Chris Fain from Slipknot came and did the drums for that song. But you know, I could just go to the studio when I wanted. If I didn't want to go in one day, I'd just call up Todd and say, just leave it for today, because Todd Todd produces other bands in the studio anyway. Even it's our studio, but anyone he likes, he works in the studio with them. So, you know, we want to do another Bastards album next year as well. We've got some time off after Christmas now, so try and write. We've got a few little songs done, but try and get them really good and then put them down on tape, some demo tape. And in a perfect world, we may have an album out at the end of next year, but if not, it'll be early the following year, I hope.
Nice, okay. And how's the songwriting going with your sons? You all just sit together, you invite them to your home, hey, come to Daddy, we're going to write some new songs, or how does it?
Yeah, we just meet up at our rehearsal place and just go. We all the writings credited to the five of us. Because with Motörhead, a lot of it was down to me to come up, being the only guitar player. Like, they'd be sitting there, Lem and Mickey, like, come on in, Phil, give us something new. I'm fucking trying. I'm trying. Like, it could go on for days sometimes. But with the boys, and
it's different,
and a different generation, so we've got different ideas to put into the mix. So when one idea bounces off another, that's when you get some cool stuff, like, you know. So it does help.
And of course, they got the same DNA in their body, so yeah, you're always maybe following the same ideas. Okay, what is really striking to me is the range, the spectrum of genres where your guest singers and musicians come from. I mean, there's really heavy metal, like with Ben Ward from Orange Goblin. Then there's this guy named Leon Stanford from Wales. I never heard about him before, but he sounds like the young Sting somehow a little bit. And then there's freaking Danko Jones, of course, rocking the shit out of my brain. And I mean, it's such a fine and colorful mixture. One name that also really surprised me was Joe Satriani. Once upon a time, he also gave guitar lessons to Kirk Hammett from Metallica, and now he's playing with you. How did you get to him?
I just asked Joe years ago, about 3 years ago, and he said, yeah, I'll play on your solo record. And then I sent him the thing kind of ready, and I kept on to him for like about 2 years. Oh shit, Phil, I forgot. I'm busy now. I'll do it next month. And then 3 or 4 months ago, by nothing off Joe. Joe, I'm still waiting, mate. Okay, I'll do it soon. So that took about 2 years.
Nice.
But it was good. Like Leon is a singer in a band called The People, The Poet. He's my son, my bass player, Tyla's.
Okay.
His singer, Tyla's in another band, like, and they all the vocal performances were amazing.
Yeah.
On Left for Dead, I've got Mark King from Level 42 on bass.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of my favourite musicians, you know, and they all did me proud. They all spent some time, you know, and give it their best to make a great record, like, so.
Yeah.
Eternally thankful for that.
It's a masterpiece. There's nothing left to accomplish. You got everyone you wanted on that record. It seems like that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going to happen if I do another one. I can guarantee there won't be as many guests.
Okay. I guess you already told me, but you didn't invite each single one of the singer artists to Wales, or I don't even know where your studio is. I guess you have a home studio. Or...
Yeah, it's a few miles from my house, like.
Right. I have no right to say that because I didn't even know him and only saw him once on stage in November 2015 at a show in Saarbrücken. It was one of the last Motörhead shows, and his manager wouldn't let me interview him because he was already pretty weak. But I talked to Mickey D instead, and that was great. But however, I think Lemmy would be proud of you. Would you? Yeah.
I told Lem for a good few years. I said, Lem, I'm going to do a solo record when I get a chance, because we were touring constantly all the time, and he always said, yeah, go for it. You said you'll do a great one, it'll sound great, yeah. You know, he always encouraged me.
Yeah.
You know, I probably would have had him do a track on it as well. Like,
of course, yeah.
But it didn't happen. But you see, with Lem, we wasn't doing too well. He wanted to go to the end, like, you know. So And believe me, when Lem wants to do something, like he tries not, it's difficult to change his mind.
Yeah. I can imagine, of course. You must
into the end, like, it was great.
Yeah, like the song Till the End. Yeah, you must be missing him, right?
Yeah, loads all the time. Doesn't get any easier, really.
Okay. I got a fan question here, and I have no idea if you can answer it, but it is known that Lemmy had a big collection of war memorabilia. Do you know what happened to it?
Yeah, it's all in a safe place. It's in his estate that I think Lem's son Paul was probably all handed down to Paul, and it's in a safe place. There's a lot of stuff, man, because in his first apartment, he used to keep a load of it there, and you couldn't sit down. Don't sit there, there's a helmet, and no, watch it, don't sit there, don't sit on there, that book. And he was just interested, He thought war was like futile, but he was interested, and he liked all the, not just German stuff, all sorts of stuff. He liked the decorations, and the things, and he said, look at the work that's gone into that.
Yeah, he was really interested in history, of course.
Imagine how smart that looked in the day, the general walking down, and like, he'd be off in his brain like that. It was great.
Oh man, you must have so many great memories from those crazy Motorhead days. I would love to listen to you like hours, but maybe when you think of the really tough times, starting in the mid of the 80s, where you joined, or 1983, right? When you think back, which crazy story comes to your mind? Is there anything you could tell a young guy like me who's looking for rock and roll adventures?
One time in the middle 80s, I had a big argument with Lem. We were in Yugoslavia or somewhere like that in the mountains. It was thick snow. And I said, right, stop the fucking bus. I'm leaving. So this so remote up in the mountains. So I got off the bus, and there's a light on this mountain about 5 miles away. I said, I'm going to go with Lem. Said, where are you going to go to? I said, I'm going to go, I'll make a telephone call from that. I'll walk towards that light. And Lem said, go on then, off you go. So he seen me walking, and about 100 yards further, he saw the light go off. Like, and I'm stuck out there. He had to come back on a bus, but
okay.
Lem always thought that was a funny one.
Okay. One could say... there's
too many stories, really.
I know. And we only got 15 minutes.
Nobody would believe.
Yeah. Tell me another one. I don't believe. No.
No, it's hard to think of them just like that, really.
I know. Yeah, it's hard to recall them just like that. One could say that you replaced Brian Robertson of Thin Lizzy back in 1984, right? When you, Motorhead lured you away from Persian Risk. Back in the days, they were the best of dress for a new wave of British heavy metal. So maybe you can take us back in time for a minute to that, really thrilling point in your history, in your rock and roll history. Who called you? Was it Lemmy? Or?
No, it was just, I read, they didn't ask for auditions, Motorhead. It was announced that Brian had left. Okay. So they wanted people to make an effort to get to the audition. So I had to make some phone calls and different things like that. And Persian Risk, we did a gig in London, and I didn't know what to tell the boys because I had my audition the next day.
Oh shit!
So because we were all dedicated to Persian Risk. It was for 5 years. So I just banged the back of the bus. You couldn't see the driver. I said, "Oh boys, I've got to get my pedal board fixed. There's a guy in London I know tomorrow," and I didn't know anyone in London. So they opened up the back of the van, and I stroll out with my guitar and my pedal board, and then find a hotel somewhere.
Okay. And there was no audition?
I can't remember. I just went and jammed with them there.
Okay.
And they said, great.
It's fine, it's working.
And then we had 6 weeks rehearsal, 6 weeks and
Oh, wow.
before we did a gig.
All right, yeah, that's a long time. Okay, apropos, I'm a huge Thin Lizzy fan, I have to admit, and yeah, so I'll ask every rock star I can interview about their opinion about Phil Lynott and everything.
Great. I can't fault them. I've loved them since I was very young.
Yeah. You saw them live, I guess, of course.
Not that many times. Phil Lynott, I've dragged Phil Lynott on stage on the 10th anniversary of Motorhead, and it's on video in London at Hammersmith. He was standing on my side, and I said, "Come on, Phil, come and play the song Motorhead." And he said, "I don't know it." I said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just put a bass on." So he came on, and I somewhere in my house I have the only cassette tape in the world of. It was just the DI bass line from the song Motorhead, and you can hear Phil's bass. The poor song, he's going. Boom, 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 just fucking hitting nonsense out on it, like. But one day I have to try and find her. But yeah, then he was dead a few weeks after that. And
yeah, there's the rumor that he was also pretty deaf, just like Lemmy in the end, right? The bass players are always deaf, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of us are deaf. Yeah, I got a hearing aid in there.
Okay.
I never use it, but I got one. I'm supposed to have one.
All right. Okay, I think we're coming to an end. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you so much for having us. Just one more question. I mean, you've reached everything you can reach in rock and roll. So what's left? I mean, what really counts to you? Just making music with your sons? I mean, that's the most beautiful thing I can think of if I would be a rock star, I guess.
Just wake up every day and, and feel inspired to, have everyone healthy around me and my friends, and just go and try and create the world's best riff.
All right.
It hasn't been done yet. I'm working on it.
You're doing well. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Phil Campbell from Motorhead.
Welcome.